I say I've been listening to some sports, and I have very, very occasionally. And a couple of things I've heard this week were interesting because it was from some different people in different sports, and a hockey player, I think, and a baseball player. And the baseball player, I don't know, I don't know who they are, or can't remember their names. They weren't really any high-profile people. The baseball player had said. He had been complaining he didn't want to come back until you know until everything was, he said, we're not going to come back like this because we're taking our lives into our hands. It was very, very dramatic, and so he was complaining about everything, and the hockey player wanted to make sure. I think his quote was something to the effect that if we do come back, we have to make sure that there's no risk when we come back. Now, I don't want to talk about risk. We've already done that. The fact is that other than just to mention it, the fact is that hockey players, athletes, especially hockey players, but they're among the lowest risk. Athletes are still in the, they're not elderly, and they're in strict physical training regimens and diet regimens and all these things. I mean, the majority of athletes are among the most healthy and least likely among us, other than young children, to suffer, that significantly from this. So the thought then I had was, because I always look at things with this skeptical view, is what is their real motive when they say things like these? And of course, the baseball player, there's contractual things, and right now they're struggling with how much money is going to be paid if they come back. So there's this other motive, and it comes up. Money comes up frequently. Now, I don't think money is as big of an issue among the hockey. Maybe I haven't really heard about that, but like I say, I haven't paid too close attention to sports. But whatever the case is, the hockey player just sounded like, in hearing his whole full little spiel on it, sounded more like a player that didn't want to play. And I suppose money comes into it in a certain extent, that these guys are millionaires, and it's not life or death for them to sit at home for a while, and it's kind of been nice for them. It's like an extended spring vacation or spring break, whatever the thing is. It's been just kind of an extended off season for them, and maybe there's this thing where they just kind of got used to it and don't really want to come back. I mean, you don't have to go into the office, you don't have to put in the grueling hours of training and workouts, and people kind of, you get used to not having to go in and go lifting and all the unpleasant things. I know you and I, if we watch sports, we just see an hour and a half or 2 or 3, whatever it is, and of the sport being played, and we don't see all the meetings that they have to go through and all the other things that they have to be a part of, and maybe they're doing some of that virtually, but they're not getting all the training. They're not getting all the full, if it's anything like my kids' school, they're not getting a full off season of work virtually. So that same cynical part of me scrolls through, and understand I'm not making any judgments here, but the same cynical part of me scrolls through, and when I look at Facebook or whatever, and you hear comments, and and there's different sectors of society that are, depending on, everybody's up in arms about something. And there's a group of people that are up in arms about not being able to work. There's a group of people up in arms if you dare to go out, you're killing people, and things like that. If you go outside your house, you're killing people. And so the skeptical part of me just wonders, no judgments here, if it's just, a lot of those people, or a percentage of those people, are just people who work at home and don't have to deal with commute, and they've gotten used to the ability to sit at home in their pajamas and work, and and do a business meeting and things like that. It's gotten kind of cushy, and now just kind of see this roll a little bit longer. I mean, we want to be safe and things. And I'm not saying that's true of you if you're one of those people or whatever. And I know that a lot of people are in healthy situations, and a lot of people aren't. So, or maybe there's family members of people who have really super high risk and things. So I don't want to, judge anyone's character, but I do think there's a little bit of that. People with some of this real moral outrage are kind of like these sports guys. But your life's not at risk, you just kind of want to sit at your couch and collect your millions of dollars or what have you. I think there's a certain aspect of that, and the scriptures talk about this and give examples of this. Some really notorious ones are, when Judas is keeping track of the treasury, and here's this woman anointing his feet, and he says, "Oh, this oil should have been sold and given to the poor," and because this represented a profit loss for him, because that would be less money in the treasury box for him to pilfer from. So, but he sounded very, very noble and very concerned about other people and the poor and the vulnerable people. But he wasn't really concerned. It was that he was concerned about his ability to steal money. Jesus, likewise, in Mark chapter 12, verse 40, he talks about people who go in and exploit widows and they rob their houses, but and I don't think necessarily he means that they were actually physically taking things out of their houses, but he's referencing exploiting women because of the way he says the way they do it is they make a pretense of long prayers. Oh, we'll come in and we'll pray for you, and it kind of stuff that reminds me of the old Jim Baker things, and Jimmy Swaggart and all these. We'll pray for you and just send your gift, and as a pretense they do all these religious things, but they really have other motives. Now, I doubt anybody watching this has those kind of motives, but at the same time, the scriptures are kind of clear that we can do things for wrong motives, and even well-meaning we can do things for wrong motives. We may simply be trying to justify ourselves. I mean, not necessarily good intentions, but in a sense that we're not being malicious. I might not be malicious, but I might be avoiding something. Maybe it's not responsibility or that I'm avoiding, but maybe I'm avoiding something, and I'm trying to use a rationale to justify it to myself. And I can deceive myself as much as I deceive other people in doing these. So I think this offers a good opportunity for us to investigate our own motives, whether it's in this particular crisis, why we are advocating on either side of the things that we are advocating. Why am I advocating that? Why am I advocating that we go back to normal? Or why am I advocating that we do this for the next 2 or 3 years? Whatever the thing is, why am I advocating this? And investigate our own motives. Is there a reason that we are doing this? Do we have pure motives?